you still got your ownership, but we just need to go in a different direction. You know, that was very hard for me to take and swallow. And it's realizing that when it gets tough is when you just start. You know, I think that's the lesson that it taught me, you know, and I needed that clip in the wings to maybe really learn how to fly.
That's good. That's good. What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode of the Traffic Sales and Profit Show. My name is Lamar Tyler. I'm your host, and today I have a special guest, a member of our TSP Collaborative fam, right? Darian McDaniel. He is the co-founder and CEO of PROBLK HEALTH, and I want to learn how this brother built, along with his wife, a 7-figure supplement company, right? If you're into e-commerce, if you're into health, if you're into community, all those things together with this man right here.
Yes, sir. Yes.
What's going on, man? Glad to have you.
So excited to be here, brother. I'm so excited to be here. So thank you for the great welcome and just excited to be here. So let's take it.
No, it's good, man. I'm excited for the people because I know so much they can learn. But before we even jump into this powerhouse that y'all have built around health, it's all those things, right? It ain't just around money. It ain't just around e-commerce, but it's like we can make money. We can build through e-com and the internet, but we also can empower our community, make people healthy, all those type of things.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, I want to talk about like your story and how we even got to today, right? Because originally St. Louis, right?
Yeah, St. Louis.
Okay, so take me back to St. Louis to how we kicked off this brand.
Yeah. So I'm from St. Louis. Live in Atlanta now. I got here by going to school here. In St. Louis, I never would have thought I would be right here, right? Kind of one of those cats just in the hood, hanging out, just trying to make it through high school, really no focus, really come from a family who, didn't go to college or really no big role models outside, my mom, but really male role models, at least more specific, but end up going to Morehouse here, and it kind of changed my life just seeing how brothers who making it happen. And I think that was a big deal. I had to come up to school on my own because my mom worked 3 jobs.
Let me ask you, was Morehouse, when you were younger, was Morehouse like a dream or a goal, or was it just something you just kind of stumbled into?
Man, I stumbled into it. It's like such a crazy story. So,
we love crazy stories.
Yes, you got to. So actually, I wasn't really even thinking. I want to say I really didn't know a black school existed. You know how you just live in that bubble
Right,
of
correct.
where you just not really thinking about it. So no one talked about it, so I know all this about HBCU, all these things that people take for granted that everybody knows. But it was a guy who was coming to paint our house, and he was painting our house, and my mom ended up dating him. And she was like, man, your son's kind of smart. I think he can go to school or do something. And his brothers actually went to Morehouse, and they got together, wrote a letter, and got me in. Yeah.
That is wild.
So that's big. And so I came here, had to do a lot more catching up on the learning side.
Yeah.
So like the remedial reading and those kind of things, trying to catch up on the things that I didn't think were important, realize that they are so important. But that's how I got here. And then I went to
Hold on, I have one more question about this. This is interesting. Because I never got this deep. We never talked about this deep. So when you landed on the campus of Morehouse, was the culture shock?
Man, it was big time culture shock because the first day you sitting there to get, the registration to get in school, and everybody's parents are there. You see moms and dads, you see people who dads are doctors.
It's some money. Some people coming with, my wife Ronnie went to Spelman.
Yeah.
And Ronnie was like, it was different when I got to Spelman, and they was rolling up in BMW. The kids was rolling in BMWs and Benzes.
And just like the whole mentality was different. The whole expectation was different. I actually cried, because I really never seen this much Black excellence, in my life, and I had to call my mom. I was so excited, like, you're not going to believe it. It was a big culture shock. I think it was a culture shock too of like, how to conduct yourself and those type of things.
Wow.
And realizing, I think at first, I was a little embarrassed of my background, right, of where I come from, because so many had these great fathers, these great things, and then I got to be like, oh, well, I come from here, from St. Louis, and I got in on this. so I really couldn't share that story. But I navigated my way and made it happen.
Awesome. All right. So you graduate Morehouse, then, because I know you had a very successful corporate career.
Yes.
Which like, did you just launch straight from Morehouse into that, or?
No, I was, what was deep was I was looking for a job, right? And my mom was working in the medical field at a doctor's office. And, our aspiration at that was just like the pharmaceutical reps that came in. It's like, oh, they great. They got a great job. They got a car. Back in that day, they got a business, all those things that you think was great. And actually, I tried to get a job at that. And it was another big time story was I went to interview and I kept interviewing. And then I met this brother who I interviewed with and, with a team of them. And he pulled me to the side. He's just like, you just too hood. You just too cool. Walk, everything, you have to like change your demeanor.
How did you feel in that moment when he said that?
It was just me. And so I just didn't really know how to take it. It's like, you walking with your head up, your soldiers didn't realize that you have to kind of be docile as a black man to make it in this environment, right? Which was a big thing for me because I always held my head high. I just really didn't know. My swag was my swag.
Right.
Now I realize my swag is everything. But, at the time I had to change, and I even had to change more because I ended up getting a job in advertising sales, which I met somebody at a party and I was talking to them and they was like, man, you be good at sales. And they got me a job at this company called TDI, which actually in Atlanta sold all the ads on the MARTA bus system.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
And so they had just got that on the ads on the trains and then the buses. So I sold that and I just blew it out of the water. Like I just sold like everything. And so all the bus, I just blew it up. But then there was another brother who kind of worked there who really got me, took the time to kind of tell me how to structure things, how to say things. It was just a different environment and how to deal with your emotions differently than you're used to dealing with them, coming from a certain kind of community, which hurt me at Morehouse a lot too, because if someone say something about you, you from the hood, you just kind of like confront them.
Right.
Yeah, but they don't want to be confronted. They just kind of want to be like, I'm ready to fight, and that's not the ticket. So just kind of learning how to deal with my emotions better in those environments really helped.
That's interesting, right? Because so far, what I'm hearing is it sounds like there was consistent thread, even though you was like, hey, I grew up without, a strong male figure right there at my younger age. It seems like all these men, different men, have had a role, right, along the journey. I don't know if you ever thought about that. But as you tell the story, it's like this brother here was like, hey, his brothers get together, write the letter for Morehouse. This brother's like, hey, in this corporate world, this is how you navigate.
And that's big.
And what it makes me think about, because I haven't even thought about this a lot of times. A lot of times we're looking for, or we're thinking about mentorship in the lens of somebody taking us and holding our hands for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. But it sounds like, in those instances, you might have had mentors for a minute.
Yeah.
Right. But they got you to the next level, it seemed like. One get you to this level, and then this other brother come in and give you a word of advice or, give you a recommendation or something.
And man, without those touch points, I wouldn't be right here today.
Wow.
That is like, when you really say it like that, that's big. Yeah, absolutely. Man.
I love
you brought something to me today. All right. I love that. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I agree.
So, me and you had talked before. So you go into sales and you end up building like a highly successful career.
Yeah.
How did you transition from that successful corporate career? You make a lot of money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what was that lifestyle like? You work corporate, and then how did you exit out of that and say, hey, I want to, start a business and do this?
Well, I always felt like things made you. We measured success about the house, the car, those things that you have. And I had got all of that. I had a crazy house, decorated how I wanted to. I had 2 cars. I had a regular car. I had a sports car. I had all these things, but I still wasn't happy. And I didn't realize that I had so much more purpose, right? And then too, when you're in the sales role, you start to realize that you're doing so much of the heavy lifting for these corporations and you're getting paid pennies. But in your mind, and initially you're getting paid some money because we've been told, oh, you make 6 figures or you get $100,000 a year, you got some. So you have these ideas of money in your mind. And so when you make it to those goals, you think you okay, but you're like, man, I sold $5 million in advertising last year and they paying me $150,000. I sold $10 million, they paid me $3 million, you know.
And directly responsible for bringing those dollars in. It's like you can get the dollars. Like literally going to get that lead, bringing the money in.
I'm going to the CMOs. I'm going to the companies. I'm going to Coca-Cola meetings. I'm going to Patron meetings. I'm knocking down the doors and making it happen. They facilitate the media, but the big heavy lifting was me. And then I was like, man, I could probably use this talent for something else. And I wasn't sure at the time what that was going to be, but I got an opportunity to leave my corporate gig to go work for a company to come change their whole sales organization around and become part owner of the company. And so that was the first exit. I was like, man, I got to take that leap, take less money, a lot more responsibility. But then I got into that and it was good, but it taught me a lot about the difference between ownership and working for someone else, right?
Let's talk about that.
Yes, it was so big. I gotta tell you a story, and I won't name the company, but I started with the company. I'm still working like a corporate. They bring me as part of the company.
Yeah.
How they view money, how they view how long you work, what you do. You know, I'm thinking that I'm done at 5. You know,
you like, man, it's quitting time around here. Let me get it.
and it's like, no, you got to keep going. And so they confronted me, and these some Jewish cats. They came to the Atlanta airport. And they confronted me and they was just like, what are you doing? You know, and it was a family and the dad was really mad and the dad was cussing me out. Like, we thought you were going to come in. We thought you were going to. And I thought I was doing a good job, but it didn't take me to after I exited that and started my own thing. And I called him. I say, damn, I know what you mean now.
So what did he say when you called?
He was just amazed. He was glad that I got started with the company. He was like, "Oh, you finally get it." I was like, "Man, I get it." Like,
because I ain't never had nobody call me back. I know people will find it on their own, but I was like, I want to go. Yeah.
It's like it's just different. You have to put more in, and you have to do more, and you expect it to make it happen no matter what. And it's not a time schedule; it's when the job is done, and that's the big difference.
Yeah. It's so many. We ain't even gotten to the e-com piece yet. We just nuggets left and right.
Yeah, so that was a big transition for me.
So so really, again, I think it sounds like that situation helped develop the entrepreneur you are today, right? And I'm a real big believer. I always say all the time, like everything that's happening in life leads us to where we are, because we aren't the same person without. Like if you don't go to Morehouse, you're not the same person, right?
Mm-hmm.
They add a texture, to you. If you don't. Have some of the jobs you have, you're not the same. If you don't say, hey, I'm starting with them and that work out the way it did,
yeah,
you're not the same person because you learned a valuable lesson.
Absolutely. And I didn't see it at the time. At the time, I was just kind of defeated, right? Because I was top sales guy. You know what I'm saying? But I was just a part of a cog of a wheel and didn't realize that,
Let me ask you this. What did it feel like going from, because most people I talk to that sit in that chair are highly successful people. So they've been highly successful for a long time, right? I always say like most people's A players with their companies are A players when they work.
Yeah.
Corporate, right? And I say 99% of the time, like that's the case with people sitting in that chair. Would always like to know, because a lot of them got a story, like when I started entrepreneurship at some level, like I quote unquote failed. Like it wasn't always easy. Like what is that like though when you used to being the man, top in sales, making all those things happen, then you get in a situation where you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And where you like, hold up, like, because things come easy when you're in your flow, things come easy. But then when you're not, it's not. Like what did that feel like in that moment?
Like I said, it felt defeated. I remember being on the phone, like, we're parting ways, like, man, I need another shot. And then, for him just saying, we're going to part ways at this point. You still got your ownership, but we just need to go in a different direction. That was very hard for me to take and swallow. And just realizing that when it gets tough is when you just start. I think that's the lesson that it taught me, and I needed that clip in the wings to make me really learn how to fly.
That's good. So you leave there and then you start your own 100% own company, right? Because you were part.
Yeah.
You start your own company. The company you started is PROBLK HEALTH?
No, I did a company where I did media, help people place media, buy media, help underperforming companies with their media, and I sold it because I had so many contacts already, so I can call up, Patron, or like, hey, they got this stuff in Stadium, or they got this, so really piecing things together, kind of being that middleman for underperforming media. So that was really good and successful. So that was when, I first got married, that's when I started that.
Guess what? If you enjoyed the last few minutes of this episode of the TSP Show, you gotta watch the full thing. But it's only available on The Convo. You can register today totally free at theconvo.tv or scroll down below for a listing of all of your favorite streaming apps where you can watch it today.